Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about what's the best place to mine cryptocurrency and going forward into the future what the cryptocurrency space is going to kind of look like in terms of the electricity prices, kind of the regulations and stuff like that. So one thing in cryptocurrency mining that obviously is the biggest factor is profitability, and that relies on the price of energy. So we have here, I don't actually know how good these statistics are, but this kind of gives us a broad range of what the electricity prices are around the world. Obviously we'd start with the lowest electricity price. So you have a couple of countries in there, as you can see. So this is 0 to 10 cents per kilowatt hour. And the lower the electricity price, obviously, the more profitable you can be. Also, the older machines that you can use. So even if you're at this lower electricity rate, the older machines will still be profitable. And that's one of the big things that you kind of benefit off. And over time, I think we're going to see a more centralization into places or countries, counties, anything like that that has the lowest electricity rate and that incentivizes low electricity, just because you can use older hardware, plus you can have more profitability on the newer hardware as well. So a couple of countries here, ones that obviously we wouldn't really recommend mining in, not really that viable. And then you have 9 cents per kilowatt hour. So a large majority of countries actually have a decent electricity rate that you would be able to mine on. Obviously, as time goes on, the amount of electricity rate that you have to use to be profitable is going to increase. So it has to basically decrease in terms of the cents per kilowatt hour to be more profitable. As I said, this is where we're probably going to see down the line a centralization of cryptocurrency mining into certain areas that offer a very, very low and lucrative electricity rate, just because of the reasons that I listed earlier. And we're probably going to see an end of home mining in the next 5 years, unless electricity rates actually go down over the next couple of years, just because it becomes way more harder as that hash rate is increasing on all networks basically to, in theory, be profitable home mining. A lot of these ASIC mining farms or GPU mining farms basically go and cut a deal with energy suppliers and stuff like this. You can use runoff gas, which we'll get into later on, that allowed them to have that low electricity rate. So there is a large majority of the world that is in this 0.09 range. And then we have 10 cents to 19 cents. So let's take this off here. So this includes the US and Canada. But I believe that obviously in these countries there are places where you can mine a little bit less. So in Texas, even in Canada, they have, residential or commercial rates, whichever one you want to go with, that can be negotiated to be lower at around 7 or 8 cents per kilowatt hour. But then there is some options in Europe. So you have 14 cents per kilowatt hour in Sweden and Finland. I believe Norway is included around that range. Australia is a good one down there. Some South American countries, a lot of African countries, but I wouldn't recommend mining in Africa. And then you come over to the 0.2 to around 0.3 range, which is, these countries here. So our country in the UK, that's obviously not really profitable to mine with anything right now. Even an ASIC miner, the ROI times would be very high. So there's not really any incentive to be mining cryptocurrency in the UK. And then you come here, there's even Germany, which is surprising, has a very high electricity rate there. So definitely no mining going on there. And then there's one that's in the around 50 cents per kilowatt hour range, which is Somalia. So the main range that you'd be looking into for cryptocurrency mining is these two ranges right here. So it actually does cover quite a lot of the world. You can go up to 19 cents per kilowatt hour if we go back to mine the ASIC. Let's just put this to 19. Click enter, you can see that a lot of miners are still profitable at 19 cents per kilowatt hour. I always go with the Jazz miners, obviously, because they're so cheap, but they also produce profitability. And I believe that the X44 is coming out soon, which price to profitability ratio is very, very good on those. And it might be something worth looking into. So as I said, it covers a lot of the countries around the world that have these rates that we can actually mine with. However, we are looking for better rates. So anything that's below 10 cents is pretty much golden area for mining, especially with GPU mining. GPU mining the profit margins on GPU mining are definitely a lot smaller, so you have to have way lower electricity prices to actually GPU mine. Anything sub 10 cents is considered good. If you have above that, I don't think anything is actually that profitable past 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So you have things like these flare gases that they are using currently. So when we're talking about cryptocurrency mining and the incentivization, you are probably going to see in the future a move to places that have better electricity rates, obviously, and better regulations for cryptocurrency. One of the places that's kind of benefited from this is Texas. So you have all these runoff flare gases that you can actually burn, turn into energy. I believe they pay like a stupid amount, like even 1 to 2 cents per kilowatt hour for these, and they just run a bunch of machines. So even at that rate, basically, if we take out here and we go for 0.02, basically everything becomes profitable. So you see you've got a bunch of crypto miners that are profitable. I don't think any of them drop under profitability. So you can mine on basically the oldest machines that you can find, and you can still be profitable on the day rate. And this is kind of why they're taking over, and we're going to see a more heavily centralized version of mining to those places that have better power costs. As I said, this is obviously going to push out the home miners because they don't have access to these lower power costs. But if you were a county that wanted to incentivize more cryptocurrency mining and you have power stations within that area, you could then strike a deal with power stations to say, in the off-peak times, we are accepting cryptocurrency mining because they're producing the electricity regardless, but they can also benefit from this by saying, we're going to give it to you for free and we take 50% of the earnings or something like that. I'm sure those deals have been struck before in the US, where off-peak times, they don't have anywhere for the electricity to go. They don't have any batteries to store it in. So basically they say, look, we could actually take up this and we'll give you half of the profits or something like that. And that's probably what we're going to see going on in the future. Also, we did see around 2 years ago, I think, cryptocurrency mining in terms of Bitcoin mining in Texas when they had that storm. A lot of the cryptocurrency miners within the Texas area were actually asked to turn off their rigs, and they were given credits for that, which were higher than the profitabilities for cryptocurrency mining. So they wanted to use the grid, or they wanted to have the power there to use the grid, and they said to them, you're going to have to turn off your cryptocurrency miners and we'll give you credits for that. And then in turn, they turned it off and freed up the power grid and made substantially more money from just being able to turn off their rigs, basically. So it's an interesting way how these economics works with the power cost and incentivizing people to go and mine in different places. It is like having a gold mine. So we obviously talk about cryptocurrency mining because it is kind of like we're mining coins, but you can actually move this gold mine across the world to places that have the lowest electricity rates. It's kind of like a gold mine, whereas with this gold mine, you can move it across the world wherever you want to, whereas previously, with actual gold, you can only mine it in a certain place. And this is just one of those things about cryptocurrency mining that seems good going into the future, is that it can be moved around the world depending on regulations and electricity prices. So with flare gas and solar power and wind power, obviously people are going to be getting way better electricity rates. But one of the main things that I think we're going to see an uptick in cryptocurrency mining overall is people kind of going off grid with it, buying renewable energy sources, so solar and wind. And then I've already seen a bunch of people buy kind of their own little setup and take it out into the desert. So I think it was in Texas or something like that, where you have these places which are sunny all year round and you can take advantage of solar, or it might be windy all year round and you could take advantage of that, where they take that and they basically start mining Bitcoin and just live off that money. Obviously they had to save to actually buy all the stuff, but as soon as you get that free electricity cost, you can mine on basically any machine to mine cryptocurrency. So I've been following this person on X, his name's Offgrid, you can follow him if you want. So he has kind of this concept for it. Obviously I've seen other people do it to a bigger scale with full ASICs, but you can see doing some solar Bitcoin mining with the BitAxe Supra, running the BitAxe on 100-watt solar, and then you can use his link to actually get one. So you can just see it's plugged into a generator or a battery, and that's plugged into the solar panels, and then you have basically free Bitcoin mining, obviously minus the cost of buying all the equipment. But you can see how you could scale that up. I think we're going to see an emergence of people trying to do this. I wouldn't say in the UK where I live, but probably, even South America, you have incentives there. Obviously with El Salvador that are trying to become a Bitcoin kind of country. Even in the US, Mexico maybe potentially. Australia is a great one for solar, obviously. And there's a bunch of other countries that you could obviously do it with. But just looking into the future of cryptocurrency mining, I think we're definitely going to see the electricity rates still continue to rise regardless. And a lot of home miners are still going to get kicked off the network just because profitability isn't there. And it's going to become more centralized into these places which have lower electricity rates. And then going forward into the very, very far future, if cryptocurrency still continues to be a massive financial asset, you would have countries that would want to incentivize this cryptocurrency mining and basically say, we're going to offer free electricity to anyone that mines with cryptocurrency in maybe off-peak energy hours, something like that. So this was just a quick idea video, not really to do with anything in the cryptocurrency mining markets right now. But it's just an idea video to tell you kind of how I see it playing out into the future. So let me know your thoughts in the comments where we're going to see Bitcoin mining or cryptocurrency mining within, the next 10 to 20 years. Make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content like this.